people of the World Wide Web. So it's Wednesday, and as you always know, it is another look what I've been watching. So I managed to get through quite a lot. As me quite hammering the movies of late, just because there are a few big sets I have with multiple movies in it that it's very hard. You know, if I would have watched that, I mean, this last one has 4 movies in it, so I've so trying to do a lot, just trying to get through some of the backlog and stuff like that. And yeah, so anybody that knows, this is me. This is a video of obviously physical media that I've watched in the past week, from the last video to this one, and we shall get into it. So the first one is a steelbook that I recently picked up. So this is J.J. Abrams' Super 8. So this has the Blu-ray and DVD in it. There's a little picture of the front cover and a picture of it. I mean, I quite like it. This is the second time I've watched this, and I really liked it. Only issue I had, unfortunately, my Blu-ray at about 1 hour and 33 minutes starts playing up. I've cleaned it twice and it still plays up, so I need to replace this disc. So I had to finish it off with a DVD, and the DVD is actually shorter than the film, so there's obviously bits that they've missed out. This film you can get in CEX for £1 or £2 if there's the special edition. It's not in my local CEX, but I'll keep an eye out and I'll pick a cheap copy up and I can swap this out because I do like it, and it does, I think, look better on the DVD. Obviously does have feels of Stranger Things, but obviously came in 2011. Very interesting. I didn't realise the lead actor in it, the young lad, is also one of the main lads from the Kissing Booth trilogy from Netflix. Interesting thing. This is one of the things that I always like to revisit movies, because you find actors and actresses when they're younger and stuff like that, and they're really at work. So as I go through this is in reverse order. So this is one of the last ones I'm watching. You'll find there's another one. So as I've said multiple times, I'm really trying to get into the horror genre. I'm not a massive horror fan, but I'm trying to get into it. So yeah, this is the second to last movie that I did watch. Obviously James Wan, I think it is, who directs this. Who I do like, but yeah, this is the original one. So having seen another one of this series before this, I'm really going to end up watching them in a very bizarre order, but I will try and keep them all together. But yeah, this is a kind of a possession of a woman who unfortunately has her baby killed, and she sacrifices herself, and then obviously there's these dark demons and stuff, and there is some ingenious little bits that, I mean, I like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farming, apologies if I'm butchering that name. I really like these two as an actor and actress, and I think they work really well as this couple and stuff like this, and there were actually elements to this that I didn't realise. And Haunted is done quite well, and it obviously opens up this Conjuring world, and I think there's like 8 or 9 movies of it. But yeah, I did enjoy it. Glad to have it in the collection. Next, obviously AJ gifted me this, thank you very much, because I was looking after this, and he mentions it in, when I've watched this was after he kind of did a review, did a kind of podcast with Matt about this. Obviously this will go out a little while later. But I actually really, even on the second front, really enjoyed this movie. I think this is a great, fun superhero movie, but it is distant enough that it isn't connected to, or didn't need to be connected to. I think this could have been very much, if this had been released earlier, this would have actually done really, really well. And I know they're keeping the character, and obviously there's talks of an animated series. I mean, with I assume Zolo reprising his voice talents as Blue Beetle or Jamie Reyes. But I feel, that yes, it's not a perfect movie. Susan Sarandon and Neo Mack as the bad guys aren't the greatest, and there are a few little bits there. But I think I did like his character, I did like his family. His nan, I weren't the biggest fan of, but the rest of them I thought worked really well, and it was obviously very sad about his dad. But it is a great and fun little movie, and glad that AJ gifted me this to have it in the collection. I do think this is a very underappreciated movie for the DCU. Going off, as you've seen, I've gone through the X-Men series back to front, so Wolverine, all the X-Men, so I thought, what way to finish it off? I had this sealed, I hadn't watched it in a little while, so I pulled this out. And it's okay. I mean, I did think Anna Jo Taylor was a very good looking Mystique. And I did think some of the characters worked well. It's just, I know it was kind of be a horror film. I know there was reshoots and stuff like this, and I just think that this had a very kind of not character defining kind of story. And when I say story, not the actual story of the movie of how it was made. I think it just never knew what it was and kept getting changed and rewrites, and it just became a bit of a mess. You know, I think that, you know, it does have a really good few bits where the bear comes bursting through, and I think that, you know, they mention the X-Men films, but not the X-Men films, and it's all, and obviously this is all kind of related to Sinister because they mention Essex in the storyline, and Lockheed when he comes to life, and Magic when she kind of shines was quite cool. But the whole build-up and stuff like that is, it may have worked really, really well when it's first supposed to be a horror and stuff like this. Again, I didn't know if it necessarily needed to be a different genre. I don't know if because of the whole popular of Deadpool that they thought if they go in a different, you know, Deadpool was the first R-rated kind of superhero movie besides Blade, or I don't know if Blade might have been 18, and stuff, and they were just trying to do something different. And obviously this was near the end of Fox still owning the X-Men, and then obviously crossed over, and I think maybe this was released after they'd been bought over from Disney. But I don't, you know, the actors I do think work quite well, and the characters work quite well. It just, yeah, I think you can see it's very disjointed throughout it. But again, added it to the collection and glad to have watched it and stuff. So when I mentioned The Conjuring, this is the first movie that I've watched from The Conjuring. A lot of people have spoke really well about The Nun, so this is what I watched. Never realised it. I have not seen The Conjuring, didn't know it was linked. Think it was very well linked. Do like the dark setting, and I must admit I applaud them of some of the special effects or how they work stuff with camera angles worked brilliantly for me. Overall, I think it was an average movie. Obviously, it had a few quirks and stuff with the turn up crosses and stuff. Obviously, I've not seen Annabelle or anything else, or The Conjuring 2 or The Nun 2 or anything, and I will look for the second one. But I got it. I watched it. I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was anything special from the horror genre, but maybe that's just me. We shall see how we go. So then one I wanted to revisit, me and my wife have been watching Monk recently, and I tried to get into this, but she wasn't having it. So I watched it anyway, and I thought I think, and still think this is a brilliant movie. So this is Galaxy Quest. So it's basically a mixed take of Star Trek. This follows the cast after Star Trek has been on. And unfortunately an alien race have interpreted this being sent into space actually being fiction, not fiction, obviously real life. So they've been attacked by a species of them that they create the ship and obviously go after these actors thinking they're real life people to help them defend them, and it's the kind of silly stuff that happens between them. A great cast. Obviously you have Alan Rickman, unfortunately no longer with us there. The bad guy is played by Andrew Sachs, which obviously he is unfortunately not with us now as well. But Monk or the bloke who plays Monk, and you know, even Sam Rockwell is great in this. There's a bit that's very interesting that they get teleported up and Sam Rockwell screams, and you see Sigourney Weaver shocked, and supposedly that was real. She wasn't prepared that was even going to happen. And there's little bits like this I thought great. I love Tim Allen, and I love, you know, I know he has had a bit of stick behind the scenes and stuff like this, but I enjoy, you know, the funny sci-fi movies like this. They don't really do nowadays, and you have to enjoy them. And the final one, this, as I said, it's 4 movies. So this is another one that AJ gifted to me. So this is RoboCop. It is 4 movies. I'm trying to think of what it's classed as under, but yeah, basically this is a 4 like TV movies of RoboCop set 10 years after. They say 10 years after the scene of the first film, but there is no female psychic from the movie. She seems to have, I can't remember her name from it. She seems to have disappeared from the timeline, and he has John Cable, a bloke who kind of took her role, who's worked up in it. You have an adult son. The whole movie, you know, it is very much a TV movie, and it is very much as this recipe. They kind of have this story that they work on and elements going on, and all 4 of these are interconnected. So it is kind of one big 6-hour story. You get a second RoboCop, which looks quite cool. The actor playing Robocop, he's all right. Obviously, he doesn't get to do much. And they kind of have this format, as I say, there's a lot of story and kind of they meet a few characters who's very sci-fi from that era, which I didn't mind, but then they kind of get to this end point where they like to have a lot of explosions and special effects that almost feel like it's kind of this formula for no apparent reason. And then even like the first movie, there's this guy with these machine guns arms, and he's got this one, and then he grabs his cup and throws this gun down and then points the other one at his head, but it's like this massive gun that would probably blow himself away. And there was a few little bits that I felt like the casting was quite good. It is good for what it is. I thought the story was all right. I mean, I would have kind of gone a little way, and I know AJ's mentioned a lot about this, and I did like the fact that they kind of were creating this thing called Saint, and it was this kind of artificial intelligence. Obviously, somebody wanted to corrupt it, and I feel if you maybe had this Saint was actually more of a host, and then it leaded up to coming into its own kind of evil body, and then you had a big standoff between Robocop. I thought that would have maybe worked better, but that's not me. I did quite like the lady who kind of was one of the new women in it. She played Terry Bauer in the first series of 24. Good to see her. I think this was done around the same time as the first series of 24. And I thought she was quite good, and some of the martial arts in it. But it just seemed very formulaic in places, and and it was just kind of didn't seem right, and it seems this formulaic process was very much like we will follow like A, B, and C and D, and this is how the story will go, and we will have the special effects at D to make it all big. And some of it worked when someone's getting their legs cut off and everything. I thought it was quite good and stuff, but it felt like the story itself and the character development and stuff lacked a little bit, and where they had kind of these special effects blown up, I would prefer them to maybe have like Robo have a better car in it when he's driving around, and you could have done a bit more action scenes there and stuff. But it's all right. Never seen them. I've got the series to watch, so I look forward to watching that as well. Thanks again, AJ, for watching me. But that is everything. So quite a big list for this week. No anime or anything, but this is what I've been watching. Have you seen anything? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one.